Okay, looks like we're live here. I'm trying something a little bit different today. I'm going to start the videos early, a little bit ahead of scheduled time, just in case there are any snafus or anything, any problems with the technology. I'll be able to sort that out later on. So if you're watching this video on the archived version, you can just skip ahead a minute, go to the 1 minute mark, and you should be able to get to the official video start. But just wanted to start broadcasting to make sure that if anybody jumps on from having seen this on their email or whatever other social media outlet, you know that I'm here. I'm starting broadcast, and I just want to make sure that that notification is out there. So today I sent out an email to everybody earlier in the day. I had received some requests to basically let people know or notify people ahead of time when I'm going to be doing this live broadcast. Just trying to give people a little bit more notice ahead of time. I apologize if anybody wasn't able to get onto my previous broadcast if I didn't give long enough notice. I'm just trying this out and trying to improve this a little bit every single day here as we move forward and as we roll along. Let me see if I can enable the chat functionality. I'm going to try to enable that, and then I'll get started here since it's 12:30 Central. Okay, it looks like I have the chat enabled now. We have two different chat functionalities depending on where you are. If you're on the website, then the little chat that you see actually goes to our customer service. If you're on Vimeo, if you're actually watching this on Vimeo, then I think you should be able to have access to an actual chat, box or a little chat functionality thing. So let me know, or if you're able to chat, please let me know. There should also be let me see if I can do this. I think there's a poll functionality, so I'm going to open up the polling, and I guess I'm not sure if that poll is showing on the bottom of the screen or if you have to be on Vimeo to see that poll. There may be another plugin that we have to somehow embed on the website. So, I will hopefully get some better idea of how to do this stuff as we go along here. But again, we're designing this together. So thank you for anybody who's watching today for helping us out and helping us understand how to make this happen. So first off, just wanted to cover, we've had from yesterday's video, which will appear below this video if you're on iotfuse.com/updates. After this video is over, we'll repost that one. Just some instructions on how to get refunds as an attendee. So if you bought a ticket, we're not holding anybody to the digital conference. We're basically leaving it up to anybody what they really want to do in terms of if you want to convert your ticket over to a digital ticket, if you want to donate whatever you purchased before, whatever amount you used to purchase before, or whether you want a total refund. We're okay with whatever. We understand this is not the same as a conference, and different people come to the conference for different reasons. Some people come because they want new information. Some people want to network with other people. It's my commitment to create as great of a digital experience as possible to make it approximate what the IoT Fuse conference has been in the past. I've got all sorts of technology I'm putting together for that, but I have no hard feelings at whatever direction you choose to go. And I should say thank you for everybody we've had an amazing response so far. We've had a lot of people just decide to convert over or even donate, and we've had, I think, only a couple of refund requests. And the reason for the refund request, one person said they're basically just super overly busy, and they may not have time. And the other person, I think they're just maybe possibly low on money or job prospects, and so that's completely fine. We're totally okay with that. And then also, before I forget, we also have a discount code for anybody who's attended IoT Fuse in the past. Just type in IoT Love when you go to buy the ticket, and that will discount you down to, I think, like $19.50 or so. So that we have that loyalty discount to everybody who's attended our conference in the past. And other than that, we're marketing this nationwide. We've got people all over the country looking at this, and people buying tickets from Washington. We've seen some people buying tickets from Washington. So we're just going to continue to work on that and see how this whole experiment goes. But in the spirit of trying to add value to people who are watching, or anybody who watches now or in the future, I'm going to talk a little bit about teleconferences. Again, I've run this Internet of Things conference and workshop series for a number of years, and I've had a lot of experience connecting things up in a very short notice and under high pressure situations. So I've got a lot of experience understanding how the internet works, how the different technology layers work, how different kinds of devices work, and how the web works, and then just I've got a lot of experience understanding how to put together good content from having run this conference for years and having a conference with 1,000 or more people, having grown that from scratch and having run meetup groups, hackathons. I understand what gets this certain type of audience interested. So I just kind of wanted to go through, and I will turn this into a blog post as well and make sure this gets written out in the future and posted in an organized fashion. But some of the stuff that I wanted to talk about was just how to make webinars, teleconferences, and virtual conferences not suck as much, right? This is not the same as going and meeting with someone in person or talking to somebody in person, right? But I think, we're in the situation that we're in, and basically we don't know how long this is going to last. I just saw an article shared by a friend of mine who works at the Mayo Clinic, which I'm going to share my screen on that is talking about it's from MIT Technology Review, and it's basically saying, we're not going back to normal anytime soon. So let me show you that article here, and we'll post that below this after this video is done. But basically, it's talking about we're not going back to normal, and what it says in here is there's a lot of over-optimism, but if you look at this report that came out yesterday from the Imperial College of London, they basically suggest imposing more extreme social distancing over a long period of time. In yesterday's video, I talked about the lack of hospital beds that we have in the United States and compared that to, there was another article which will be posted on yesterday's video that talks about the fact that we have a bottleneck, we have a severe bottleneck in the number of hospital beds, depending upon the number of people who get infected in a 6, 12, or 18-month time frame, right? So, so this is a very serious problem. Even if you're not affected by coronavirus, let's say your wife is pregnant, or let's say you go and break your leg or get in a car accident, there's just not going to be enough space at hospitals. There's just not enough hospitals in the country. Everything's under this sort of military triage situation, and so now we're seeing articles come out talking about this is going to be a long-term thing. This social distancing and keeping people isolated from each other to prevent virus spread is going to be long-term. And here's a model of showing what kinds of social distancing might have to happen on a periodic basis over and through November 2021. So that is 18 months in the future, right? And it looks like they're talking about having sort of waves of ICU cases and needing to social distance within these blue boxes, and then maybe going back to normal for a little bit, and then we know that the cases are going to go back up. They're basically anticipating human behavior and anticipating that people are going to reinfect each other. Hospitals will get full again, go back into social isolation again. So now is really the time, given all of this, now is really the time to try to anticipate and understand where things are going to go, and if you're a technologist, how to build for that. And so I wanted to just talk about some points and some thoughts that I had that could maybe help you, whether you're doing a teleconference or a web conference as a marketer, or whether you're an engineer and you're trying to build better technology into this space. What are some of my opinions on how to do this better, how teleconferences and how virtual conferences and webinars should be designed. So, first off, I guess I'm trying to practice a little bit of what I preach here. Let me talk about what I think are the do's. So I think one is teleconferences should be broadcastable. That should be like TV. It should be opt-in, and it should be multi-channel. So essentially, what I'm talking about is not trying to lock a bunch of people into a Zoom conference and trying to force those customers into your domain and force them into your office. That's not going to fly. I don't think that's going to fly in the future unless you have something incredibly, incredibly high value. And I know that you might think that you have something incredibly high value because everybody thinks their own stuff is high value. You may not. If you don't have one of those premium brand names, or you don't have super high access, if you're not, ABC News or NBC, and you don't have the premium content, the premium broadcast, it's going to be really hard to get that captive audience. So maybe going more and thinking more like YouTube, but just kind of broadcasting and having that out there for the world to see. And you might not have any users, right? You're just putting something out there, and you're trying to schedule it live at a certain time period and giving people the option to chat. That is probably the way to do it. It's funny, I'm doing this right now, and I only have, I've had 3 viewers, and I think I have 1 watching right now. So whoever is watching, thank you. The other day I had something like 20. So it's not always nice to have that feeling that there's not necessarily a ton of people watching what you're doing. But I think people want control, and they're going to be inundated with so much material that it's basically, you got to give them the opt-in capability. Don't force them to your webinar because they're going to log off anyway. So I mentioned YouTube as an example, but I think, YouTube is just one channel. I wouldn't just use YouTube as your channel. I would figure out ways to broadcast across many channels at once, including YouTube, including Facebook, Twitter, wherever your audience is, essentially, LinkedIn. Basically sign up as a broadcaster on these different systems as soon as you can. Put an embedded broadcasting on your own website, and then figure out how to embed those chats and that sort of ability for people to ask questions and interact. The other thing you need to be able to do is make your content archivable and asynchronous, because not everybody's available at 12:30 p.m. Central Time. Especially this week, everybody's so busy. Completely understandably, everything is in chaos. So you may not get the best results by just doing a pure live streaming event, just doing a Zoom meeting. You're going to want to make that content asynchronous, give people the option to watch it whenever they want. Another thing, which I haven't done yet, but I'm going to be posting on my blog, is make your content accompanied by written, thought out, and easily accessible articles. So after you do the webinar, or whatever you want to call it, virtual asynchronous video stream, you're going to want to accompany that by written, well thought out, and easily accessible articles. And you're also going to want to do original content to the extent that you can, or at least share, reshare useful, interesting content. These are just some of the principles of good conference organization practices, good marketing. It's why I've had all of my conference videos posted up online for years. I've definitely seen people who have attended the conference, and random people from the web just log in and look at our content from previous years. And I know people find it valuable. I know they look for this type of thing. They're looking for tools to help them in their job. What's the purpose of the webinar? The purpose of the webinar is not just to get yourself in front of your customers. Everybody wants to get in front of their customers right now, right? That's business 101. That's salesmanship or marketing 101. But the question is, why would your customers want to listen to you? Why do they care? Well, you might have an ongoing project with them that's specific. That's one thing, but then it's not really a broadcast, is it? It's not really a webinar. It's more of a, let's sit down and talk with you. Let's just have a phone call. So basically, you got to make your content extremely substantive, really very useful and interesting and unique. It needs to be rare. It needs to grab people's attention. But then on top of that, you are there doing the live streaming thing because you are trying to be available to them at that given time for questions and polling. You're trying to give them the option to do an in-person event. You're giving them the option to be available like a mass phone call or like a talk, right? You're giving a talk, you're in front of an audience and someone has a question. Yes, question over there, question to you, please. Except now it's, oh, I've got a question coming in. Let me go and answer that one. So these are, I think, some of the fundamental principles that are going to guide broadcast business consulting in the next 18 months, if not beyond, if not forever. And that's my opinion on some of the design points. Now let's talk about what are some of the things that you should not do. So I think regurgitating and reposting the same thing everyone else is saying. Maybe I kind of did that by talking about hospital beds, by talking about things are not going back to normal. There is a lot of that going around right now. However, I'm not certain how pervasive that thought is. I think that there's still a lot of people out there who haven't really accepted this new reality. And so I think that is still kind of a fresh idea, but you don't want to post the same kind of thing that they were talking about last week. You need to really have fresh content on a week-by-week basis. And then I think you want the production level to be according to what you are and who you are, right? So I'm a small business. I run conferences, so I'm sitting here in my office in St. Paul, and I've got all sorts of conference equipment back there. This is who I am. I've got the IoT Fuse shirt. I'm the person that you meet on this conference is the exact person you're going to meet in reality. Okay, if we ever meet, if we're ever able to do that. So I'm not trying to pull any punches. I'm not putting a white screen behind me like I'm some ghost sitting in, or I'm not trying to create. I'm not doing basically what I think certain talk show hosts are doing right now, where they create this kind of blank studio effect. And I'm not. I'm trying to be genuine. I'm trying to show you who I am. So I think you're going to want to make your production meet up with what brand you're trying to show people that you're able to do. If you're not a huge giant company, and if a lot of what you provide to people is the capability to be accessed and the capability to be reached and talk to, you don't want to create this big huge CNN studio or anything like that, or NBC studio. It's not Fox News, it's not NBC, it's you. So don't just assume that you need to create that environment. You have to design something unique that reflects what you're doing. And then I think on top of that, if you do a webinar, you don't want to send out a email afterwards that says, sorry, we missed you. Sorry, you didn't pay attention to us. That's just attention craving. It's like my dog when I don't feed her and she starts barking at me. Give me food. Rah, rah. Just if people don't watch your stuff, that's fine. That's fine. People are going to watch your stuff or they're not. You have to continually try to add value to people, not ping them. That's there's a lack of empathy there in just spamming people, especially right now when people are so busy. And there's going to be way more web content available online than we could ever imagine in the near future. So we have to be mindful of that and make sure that if you're going to create web content, you have to create the best web content, and you have to create the content that's going to really add value to people. In the same way that if you did a meetup group or a conference, it's got to add value to people. It's got to be something that people would even maybe pay for, in my opinion. So those are kind of my thoughts. That's sort of my gripe for the day. Hopefully this is useful for any marketers, engineers looking to build this kind of technology. Oh yeah, I guess I had some notes for engineers as well. So on the engineering streaming side, something else I've noticed right away is the computer that you're using, it needs to be powerful enough. That means it needs to be powerful enough to run the browser that you're in, but it also, if you don't, there are ways to broadcast not using a browser. It's called RMTP, and we have some exciting additional broadcasts and articles coming out about that, about how to use a Raspberry Pi 4 as low as a Raspberry Pi 4 with 2 gigabytes of memory to be able to stream flawlessly. I've been testing it with my friend Chris Black from Blacktop Interactive, and so we'll have some more tips and tricks on that. But let's see here. Yeah, also just putting safety factors in place, have pre-recorded material, you know, have ways of making your system robust. So I'm gonna have to really write a lot of this stuff down because it's a lot. I don't want to go too deep into the engineering right now, but let's just kind of close it out there and just kind of keep this video more focused on the marketing aspects and how to not make webinars suck, so to speak. And we'll talk more about the technical stuff in a future day. So anybody who did sign on and watch today, thank you so much for watching. I guess I'll sign in and see you tomorrow.